Hey, Tommy, I've got a really interesting list from our friends over at IC Cars. And basically, it's the cars that depreciate the most.
Yeah, that's right. So the study analyzed the pricing trends of over 1.6 million 1 to 5-year-old used cars sold in August 2023 and 2024 to determine the difference in market values between used gasoline, hybrid, and electric vehicles. And according to IC Cars, while used car prices continue to drop from their COVID-era highs, used electric vehicle prices are dropping much faster.
Yeah, and the great thing about this list is you can look at it as the glass is half empty or half full. In other words, avoid buying these cars when they're new or pick them up at a bargain when they're used. So should we get into it?
Yeah, so these are the top 15 cars with the biggest price drops August of 2024, the IC Car study. So what's number 15?
Yeah, as TFL Fashion will do it, from number 15 to number 1. So number 15 is the Tesla Model S. It dropped an average of 13.4%.
Yep, year over year, and that is a price difference year over year of $8,255. Now, the overall average across the market is about a 4.8% drop, with a dollar difference of $1,500. So when we're looking at the Tesla, 4.8 to 13.4, and then $1,500 to $8,000, that's a big jump.
That's not too surprising. I kind of figure anybody who wants a Tesla Model S has already bought a Tesla Model S. Sure, the car is old and it has been updated, but it hasn't been substantially updated. So, I kind of figure if you've got one, you've had one, so why would you buy the same thing over again? I'm sure there's some people that do that, but for the most part, it needs, a ground up redo and not just a refresh, in my opinion. Okay, number 14 is the BMW X2. It dropped an average of 13.5%.
Yep, now that is a slightly smaller dollar difference because it's just a more affordable car of $3,874, and the average price is now $24,878. Now, we do have a tendency to see this, and we'll see this more on the list. These entry-level luxury products do not hold their value very well. We're going to see that from other manufacturers, but yeah, if you want to save money, it's good to buy something like an X2 used versus purchasing it new.
Yeah, and the other thing about the X2 is, BMW has sliced that pie into so many segments, right? X1, X2, X3, X5, X7, right? There's just way too many of them, I think. And I know people love crossovers, but it's just kind of expensive and small.
Well, the next car on the list, also a luxury BMW crossover, the X7, down 13.9%, nearly $9,000 difference year over year. Average price is $55,333. Same kind of thing that we were talking about a little bit earlier. These premium vehicles typically have a harder time holding their value relative to the market, unless that premium vehicle starts with a P and ends in Porsche. But yeah, X7s can be had for a bargain on the used market. There's also a brand new generation, which isn't helping with used values.
Yeah, I like the X7 a lot, but it's a 3-row SUV crossover from a very luxurious, sporty brand. I kind of feel like if you're in America and you want a 3-row, you're going to go big. And of course, I'm talking about the Tahoe or the Suburban or the Yukon, and you're going to probably pay less than you will for the X7. All right, number 12, Mercedes-Benz AMG GT, an average of 14.8%.
Yep. That's down 14.8%, and that's a dollar value of $13,840, which brings the sticker price to $79,808. Now, actually, this is an interesting product. The AMG GT has been around for a couple of years now, and if you want a supercar for kind of premium car money, this is a great car. I think it's one of the best looking cars on the market. Incredible performance, and I think a car that will probably long-term go up in value because they didn't make a ton of them and it's gorgeous. But that is a good used car value right there. It's just terrible to buy one new and then lose that money.
Yeah, I mean, it's going up against the 911, Tommy, and that's a iconic car that people of my generation had on the wall, and nobody of my generation had a Mercedes-Benz AMG GT on the wall. So
well, it didn't exist when you were.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's not something that people of my generation who have that kind of disposable income necessarily lust after, and it's hard to go up against an icon. Okay, now the next one is surprising. Is the Ram 1500 Classic. it's down 14.9%.
Yeah, so that's a dollar amount of $4,634, and the average price is just $26,000. Problem with the classic generation of the Ram 1500 is they kept building it after the new gen came out, which means that new you can get one for a pretty substantial discount, but unfortunately in the used market they don't hold their value as well, because even though you might have bought a 2022 Ram, it's the same as a 2014 Ram, and that's going to hurt the value in the used market.
Yeah, I would say that you couldn't get much of a discount on the new ones, and that's why they've fallen to this price. This is probably where they should be new. I mean, when you think about it, a Ram Classic, which you can still buy, is a 3-generation-old truck now. I'm not saying they're making it, but they're still out there, and paying, well, add $4,000 to that, $30,000 for a truck that was designed 20 years ago seems crazy. All right, number 10 is the Land Rover Range Rover Velar. It's down 15%.
Yeah, so we actually have a string of 4 JLR products in a row here. Unfortunately, Jaguar Land Rover still struggles on the retail side of thing. I think in recent years, they have vastly upped their quality from where they used to be maybe 15 years ago. But unfortunately, the market does not see that in the same way. So the Velar is down 15% year over year, or nearly $6,700. Average price is $37,000. The Evoque is at number 9, down 15%. $5,395. The average price is just $30,000 for an Evoque, so you can get pretty decent deals on Evoques. And then, of course, the Range Rover Sport is down 15.2%, nearly $10,000, and the average price is $53,000.
And then the Jaguar E-Pace is down 16.3%. Now, outside of the Jaguar E-Pace, the Velar, the Evoque, and the Range Rover Sport are basically the same car, Tommy, just different sizes.
Well, it's interesting that you are not seeing any of the kind of flagship JLR products, so no full-size Range Rover on this list.
And no Defender.
No F-Type, that's right, no Defender. So it's clear that, as we saw with like that BMW X2, the more entry-level premium crossovers simply just tank in value after a few years of ownership. So they mark number 10, 9, 8, and 7 JLR. And then number 6, we enter the world of electrics again, Dad, with the Chevrolet Bolt EV. So the percent year over year is down 18.3%. That's $4,000. The average price, $17,863. Now, that actually is interesting because I have seen a bunch of Bolts around that $17,000 point used online, but you really don't see many under like 12 or 13. So they all kind of seem to hover right around that $18,000 price point.
Now, as you know, we owned a Bolt, and it was a very good car. Plenty of range, certainly a great runabout in the city. And I would say that this reflects the fact that GM had a really bad experience rolling it out. As you know, they did a stop sale, Tommy. They told people not to park them inside, and that is, pretty much the death toll for any vehicle when the manufacturer says, don't park this inside because it may start your house on fire.
Well, first of all, I think it was a total of like 12 or 13 Bolts that had any kind of thermal problems.
Sure.
Out of the hundreds of thousands that they sold. I mean, if you look at it on a percentage basis, it was tiny, but the damage had been done.
Well, they also had to replace the batteries on those first gens.
Great used cars to buy because they all have new battery packs. So really good. You're getting a fresh battery in a Bolt. And actually, same thing with the number 5 car on the list, the Kona Electric, another car that saw new battery packs as well, down 18.5%. Down to 21,466. Kona EVs also had similar problems when they first launched. Also excellent cars, maybe a little bigger, get a little bit more of a crossover shape, which is desirable.
Same problem with number 4, which is the Nissan Leaf, down 20.
Those didn't start fire, though. They were just bad.
They just had bad battery packs. I'm just saying, you have like one chance to make a first impression. And if that first impression is, the battery needs to replace after you've driven it, 500 miles because it's not climate cooled with the Leaf, or if you have to replace the battery pack, as with the Kona and the Chevrolet, I think it just gets the reputation out there. The car is not something that you necessarily want to invest in, and people are afraid of it because there's a lot of choice. So why would you invest in something where, your neighbor is like, hey, did you hear that thing starts houses on fire? And whether it does or not almost becomes irrelevant, because at that point, the reputation actually precedes the vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, Leafs do have battery degradation issues because of the lack of climate controlling. I don't think it's 500 miles. I think that's a
I'm
little
just
bit.
joking. I'm being
Yeah, that's pretty extreme. But
No.
it is true that after 50, 60, 70,000 miles, especially in hot climate, Leaf battery packs do degrade. It's a really big problem with Leafs. That not a problem with Bolt EVs, not a problem with Kona Electrics. They hold up really well. But Leafs specifically degrade pretty substantially, which is why it's down 20.2% year over year. An average price of $16,243. Now, we actually leased a Leaf this year for $9 a month, and it is a great little car. I really fell in love with it. And if you can get one on a cheap lease, if you can get one on a cheap deal new, like after incentives in Colorado, you can get a brand new Leaf for like 14.5 grand. Great little cars to run around in, especially if you don't live in an extreme climate.
Exactly. Like Arizona, where it gets 100 and
Yeah, and
degrees.
then look, there's a lot of folks that live in temperate climates that get a lot of miles out of their Leaf batteries before anything happens. But and also, it used to be that headline that the Leaf needs a $30,000 battery replacement. It's not the case. It's actually come down quite a lot, especially in the aftermarket. But still, it's worth noting.
All right, here we go. Top 3, Tommy.
So this probably is not much of a surprise, but the Maserati Levante is going to be at a number 3 point down 20.2%, $11,000 year over year for an average price of $43,000.
Yeah, the problem with the Maserati is there's more FCA because that's when it was introduced than Maserati in the thing, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot more, too many part sharing went into that. I remember when we reviewed ours and I thought to myself, oh my God, this has the same switchgear as a Chrysler, has the same Uconnect as everything else. And it was unfortunately one of those, I would call it a money grab, where at that moment in time, Porsche had shown that you could make a lot of money by being a sports car manufacturer and building an SUV. And so everybody kind of jumped on that bandwagon, including Maserati, and they kind of built a half-baked SUV that was really, like I said, not much Maserati.
They did a fantastic version of the Levante called the Trofeo, which had a 580 horsepower twin-turbo 3.8-liter V8. That was actually a really cool version that not a lot of people know about. But you're right, the standard Levantes suffered in quality. They suffered with not having bespoke materials and switchgear, and that definitely is reflected in the price drop.
Yeah, and let's face it, Maserati has never had the same reputation as Lamborghini or Ferrari. They're kind of like the Italian sports car, in this case, Italian SUV that you buy if you want to impress your neighbors, but don't have the budget for a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. All right, number 2, Tommy, the Kia Niro EV, down 21%.
So similar platform as like the Kona Electric front-wheel drive only. Great little runaround cars. They really are nice to drive. Year over year difference is down $5,700. Average price is just $21,000. So roughly the same exact used price as like a Kona EV. But yeah, they saw pretty significant depreciation year over year. So a good car to buy used. There's a new generation now as well, which just recently debuted. So we'll see how that does compared to the first.
It's kind of a funky design, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not to everyone's taste. It's a funny looking car.
It's a little weird.
Yeah.
It's a little roly-poly and weird.
Yeah.
But good deals to be had used. And number 1, another electric vehicle, the Tesla Model Y, has the biggest difference year over year. Down.
Model 3.
Model 3.
Yes.
Not Y, 3.
The Y is doing well because it's a crossover. The sedan is not doing so well.
Oof.
It's down 24.8%.
Yes, that's right. That was a bad flub, but that's a year-over-year difference of $8,500, and the average price on a Model 3 is $25,931.
We lost $16,000 on our Model 3 performance, so we definitely beat the average there in 1 year.
We bought ours at like 51 and sold it at like 36.
Something like that.
So yeah, we lost a ton of money on a Model 3, as do a lot of people that buy them new. However, if you can find them used for that mid $20,000 point, very little battery degradation, excellent cars, very fast, and not a lot of reliability problems. So they're doing really well from a car standpoint, just not from a value standpoint.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are happening here, and it's kind of the perfect storm. Obviously, we hit a moment in time when electric cars became out of favor. A lot of people felt like they were being forced to drive them, so there was a lot of pushback. Then, of course, Hertz dumped, I think, 100,000 of these things on the market because, Hertz wasn't doing very well renting them. And then perhaps another factor is that, Mr. Musk, who is synonymous with Tesla, gave a giant middle finger to the state of California and to most of the buyers of his Model 3 for some mysterious reason. And I think you combine all those three things and you've got a car that is actually really good, but that has lost a boat ton of money. So if you're out there thinking you want to dip your toe in the electric market and you don't want to spend a lot of money, a Tesla Model 3 is actually a really good place to start if you can live with the amount of space that a sedan has versus, a crossover like the Model Y.
Now, interestingly enough, there were 15 cars with the biggest price gains as well. Let me give you the top 3.
Go for it.
Chevy Camaros are actually up in value, up 8.4% or $2,700. The Volvo S90, which is a really weird one. That's a big kind of flagship sedan. Really popular with livery services, though, up 16% or $5,000.
Maybe people are missing those big old American, or in this case, Swedish sedans, but that is a big old sedan.
And then, interestingly enough, the Porsche 718 Cayman up 21.4%, $17,000 to an average price of $99,000. So, really fantastic list over at IC Cars if you want to see what cars are seeing the biggest price increases as well.
Yeah, a lot of BMWs on that list.
A couple
as well.
like the M5, Porsche Panamera, Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. Lexus GX460 is up. So check out that list over at IC Cars if you want to see the cars going up.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a bargain, I would definitely look at the Model 3 if you want to, like I said, dip your toe in the electric car world and not do it with a lot of money at stake. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And as always, where should they head to, Tommy?
AllTFL.com. We got more videos over there.
And we'll see you next time. Ciao.